Well, the worst moment was calling 911 because I'm dying. I had no idea what was going on because this was an anxiety attack. Man, I'm grinding, building my first business, doing these things. I was like kind of proud of it and whatnot. And he just looks at me with the most pity. He's like, bro, you are killing yourself.
Austin Netzley, the business growth strategist and founder of 2X.
Renowned for helping 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs scale predictably and generate hundreds of millions in revenue while reclaiming freedom and control.
At least from what I see is like a lot of entrepreneurs who go 0 to like 100K, very good at doing the work.
Yep.
Like very good at sales, messaging.
They are pinging each other throughout the day. The founder's like, hey, I need this. And it's like reactive. They're distracting their team and they're wondering why their team's not getting anything done. It's like this ongoing thing of just like this chaos that they're creating.
And then if they struggle to pass 100K, they're just horrible at like building a team.
Yep. These different valleys of death that we call it, in entrepreneurship is like 50K per month. Yeah. That's where you've got to learn some form of leverage, and leverage is with systems and people. But then there's another tranche after that.
So Austin, you founded 2X. Tell the audience a little bit about that and like what's the main purpose of the business?
Yeah, well, I started 4 other businesses before, and each one were a random stepping stone, just kind of zig and zag to realize there was an opportunity to teach people, small business owners, about operations and about getting free from the day-to-day. And if you do that, what that can lead to from a growth standpoint, obviously freedom standpoint, and all the goals that you really want to achieve. So I went through some trials and tribulations myself to like get stuck in the weeds, to have burnout, to have anxiety attacks where I was like, you know what? There has to be a better, simpler way to scale a successful business. So I went on a mission to figure that out and then learned there was an opportunity to teach that. So that's what I started 2X.
What were the 4 businesses you had prior?
Well, I started out as an engineer in the oil industry,
okay.
And then I started day trading. And just got heavy into that, created my own algorithm and automated it and built that up. And that was my first business. But I didn't have any employees, so it didn't feel like a business. It was just me and the machine, right? And then my second business was, that led to a blog and podcast that led to a book marketing agency because I started, it took off from a small platform, basically a 0 platform. I sold 55,000 books, and it wasn't a very good book. And it was like the worst cover you've ever seen, seriously. But it took off, and people started asking me how I did that. So that led to a book marketing agency. And that was my first real, quote unquote, business with lots of people, lots of systems, yada, yada, that we were running an agency. But the entrepreneurs, we were working with entrepreneurs to help them launch and leverage their book. And I realized they had no idea what they were doing. Their operations and team were a mess. They were just like scrapping and clawing to bring in sales and whatnot. So that led to partnering with our biggest client at the time, which was teaching millennial entrepreneurs how to start and build their business. But then I realized my people were people that had already had some traction, but needed optimization, needed operations, needed to get free from the weeds. So it's just random, but everything makes sense now because I started out as a mechanical engineer from a degree standpoint. Now we take a machine-like approach to business. We want everything to be systems and processes and numbers so that it's like a dialed-in machine that can run and thrive without you. So,
yeah, it's that makes sense to me even listening to you because I was a petroleum engineer.
Okay,
and
cool.
So you're probably very like 2 + 2 is 4, and I find that really helps people in business quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it probably helps you think of it really simply. And then obviously like systems and processes, like that's 100% how I think.
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yep.
So before you, figured out your scaling system, what was kind of like maybe the worst moment for you or maybe the most chaotic?
Well, the worst moment was calling 911 because I'm dying. And I was running marathons. I had played college football. I was just super fit, super healthy to my doctor. But I was laying in bed, and every time I would drift off to sleep, I would stop breathing. So I would gas up in bed, just like, and just like thought I was dying. I had no idea what was going on because this was an anxiety attack. And finally, I had to wake up my buddy and be like, hey, you got to call 911. Something's happening. And it was like the most embarrassing thing of my life to say, hey, I can't even call 911. You got to do it. I think I'm dying. And I was 26 at the time, 25, something like that. And this medic comes and he checks me out, and he's like, doing everything. And I'm telling him my story, and I'm like, man, I'm grinding, building my first business, doing these things. I was like kind of proud of it and whatnot. And he just looks at me with the most pity. He's like, bro, you are killing yourself. And I was like, as soon as he said that, and I was in that moment, and I could just feel him, I was like, oh crap, I got to do this a different way. But if you're anything like me, sometimes it doesn't take one time for something to happen to actually fix it, right? I changed some things, but literally 12 months later, on the same type of weekend, it was like a tailgating thing that I was doing for a Georgia-Auburn game because I was living in Florida at the time. And same weekend, I had an anxiety attack again and had to call 911 again. And by finally that second time, I was like, all right, that's enough. like it's time to shift, it's time to change. But that was the lowest moment, like both of those combined.
Yeah, bro. So, you say play college football, so I did that as well. So it looks like we're like two peas in a pod here, engineering, football.
Yep.
You were working out like crazy, it sounds like, on top of that. Was there any reason for that? I mean, do you just enjoy it? Or was there any, like you said, you train for marathons and you run your business, which, I mean, a marathon on its own is a lot. What was kind of the reasoning for that?
Yeah, well, going and playing sports all the way through college, like you get used to that. Like you need that. So I went from that. I was like, what do I do now? So I started getting into Spartan races and different, 5Ks, 10Ks, some of the half marathons and marathon. And I needed that competition in some way, shape, or form. But between that but that changed my workout style. So I went from lifting heavy weights to running a lot. And my testosterone tanked partly because of that. My diet was horrible. My health was just totally off. My sleep was low. My stress was high. I was still partying. I was out, blacking out once or twice a week. Just like
ham sandwich.
All of that combined, my body was like, bro, this ain't gonna work,
Yeah, it almost feels like you weren't sleeping at all. You're like, I was partying, training, building a business. I mean, you were just straight up going crazy. Like, were you even getting in like 6 hours?
Probably
of sleep?
6 hours. Yeah, 6 hours.
Which is like just not enough. If you're
if you're going that hard, yeah, for sure.
Wow, dude, that's crazy. Was it hard for you when football ended, kind of that transition?
It wasn't, because it was like a little bit of free. Well, actually, I had like a little bit of a transition. So I knew I wasn't going pro, but my buddy was trying to go pro. So I was training with him, and I actually got in the best shape of my life after I was done, but helping him train for the draft.
Yeah.
And because I could listen to my body a little bit more, wasn't beating it up, but still was able to like hit it pretty hard. So I transitioned with that, and then I went into like the Spartan race stuff. So I loved it. So that wasn't super hard. It was more just like figuring out how the heck business worked. So that was the hard part.
Do you still do those races? Like, do you Spartan races and marathons and stuff right now?
I do a tiny bit, but now I've got different injuries and whatnot that it takes me a little bit longer. But I'm getting ready for High Rocks, so that's my next race.
Well, explain that, because I don't know what that is.
It's basically like a CrossFit competition.
Oh wait, that's the one I've been seeing. Okay.
Yeah, HYROX.
Okay,
it's picking up in popularity right now. It feels like it's taken over.
Why is that? Like, and what's the kind of involved in the race?
Yeah, I don't know specifically, but I think it's 8 different rounds. So it's running, and then like something that anybody can do, like what's the row machine? Yeah. And then it's another running, and then it's another type of machine or something. So a lot of people can do it. It's fast paced. You can do it by yourself, as a partner, as a bigger team. So it's like they give you enough options, and I think it's like kind of like pickleball, kind of like wake surfing. It's like these things are pretty easy that a lot of people can do, so they just pick up in popularity, where it's not like super hard on the body like CrossFit and different things.
Yeah, because I've seen like a lot of couples doing it and getting pissed at each other, and that's I've started to see that. When you first said it, I was thinking of like rock climbing. Yeah, I was like, wait, that's wrong. So okay, that's interesting. And how long is it? Do you know like how long is it supposed to take you, or is it like 5 miles, 10 miles, like when you're running and stuff?
I'm making this number up, but I ask the same questions because I haven't even started training for it. But I think it's like 50 minutes, 50. So it's like it's a really solid workout if you do it by yourself as like a full-on sprint, something like that. So it's not 5 hours and it's not 20 minutes. It's somewhere in between.
Dude, I'm curious, like, how do you find the balance, or like the way I look at races like that is, or like I'll even see David Goggins, right? He does these ultra marathons, and I've always thought, like, I've gone through some pretty hard physical things, so I'm like, I always think I can do it, but I'm like, it doesn't feel like the payoff is there. So I'm curious, like, do you have kind of a limit now with your businesses where you're like a marathon, I don't know how long it would take to train for, but is there like, if it takes longer than, I don't know, 4 hours a day of training, like I'm not going to do it or something like that?
Oh, there's no way I would do that.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was training for the marathon, that was horrible because that was literally a part-time job. So what I've actually done for the past like 11 years is a 7-minute workout every single day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's like, what's that?
You cut it way back.
Yeah, way back. Yeah. So after I got done with the marathon, I started doing the 7-minute workout because I was traveling at the time, and like I just knew I felt a lot better if I was working out. But I was in gyms or in Asia or whatever. It's just like sometimes I had stuff, sometimes I didn't. So I started this high intensity, full body weight thing, and that kept me fit. Like,
no, you look great. That's why I was curious. Yeah. Like 7 minutes is not what I was.
Yeah. So and then I'll play like pickleball and stuff, like a little bit of things outside of that. But it's like it's pretty much diet and then something active every single day. And diet's the 80-20 really. But just recently, again, I committed to High Rocks because like I want something else to chase just for a little bit, not forever. And it's not going to be a big commitment, But like I said, there are some things that you can do. Like 4 hours a day, I've done that before, and that's like not worth it when you're trying to build a big business.
Last question on that is like, do they have specific training for that? So like people do Ninja Warrior and they go to these special gyms. Do they have like special gyms for high rocks now?
I think they do. Yeah, they definitely do,
so
and they
crazy.
have specific workouts, and of course, ChatGPT can help create a great workout plan based on that. So yeah, I'm interested just to take my fitness to the next level. But it's like I'll probably do like one a year, maybe. I was like, hey, I want this to like look forward to and build towards. Otherwise, you're just kind of maintaining, and I'm maintaining to feel good, and I feel good, but like I'm trying to get to that next level because I'm hitting a big birthday here next year. That I'm like, all right, let's get it.
Yeah, that's sick, man. Okay, cool. So switching back to the business, after you built a repeatable operating system for your business, what would you say are 3 foundational systems you believe every entrepreneur needs, or people you work with, you're like, hey, like we got to implement this to kind of make things easier, but faster, more successful?
Yeah. Well, first of all, everything in your business is a system, or it should be. So the answer is everything over time. But the 3 core ones I would say are, number one is like we really want to look at the fulfillment system. So do you have a signature system? This helps from a sales and marketing standpoint, but also helps from a delivery standpoint to get great results, to have that be able to be off your plate, because so many entrepreneurs get stuck in delivery because they don't have a great dialed in system. And that starts by design and then development. But if you have that, you can get, again, great results over and over and over again. The client can be clear and in control and guided through that. It can help with sales and marketing and can have things be able to thrive without you. So that's a key one. Another one is finances. Like most entrepreneurs are just like scrapping and clawing, and they're always like one bad week or month or whatever ahead from being in a really stressful spot. And then they start to make short-term decisions, and they just get stuck on this short-term hamster wheel, always chasing the short-term thing. So having the proper finance and cash systems in place will help you have clarity and control and get ahead and have peace of mind, all of which can allow you to focus on the medium term, which is like really where you really want to focus. And the next I would say is, again, there's countless, but the next one I would say is honestly just proper meeting cadence. It's a super boring one, but like this helps you just like stay clear and everybody on the team clear and in control, but not reactive. And it's like so many small businesses, got a small team, they are pinging each other throughout the day, or the founder's like, hey, I need this, and it's like reactive, and then they're distracting their team, and they're wondering why their team's not getting anything done. It's like this ongoing thing of just like this chaos that they're creating. But with the right structure in place, everybody's clear, everybody brings those things to it. They reduce reactivity so that people can work on the most important things, right? Not just you as an entrepreneur, but your team as well. So having the right structure goes a very long way to have everybody way more productive just with one simple tweak.
Most entrepreneurs you work with, do they already have teams in place, so they're usually a little bit higher?
Yeah.
So the ones who are struggling maybe with the team, is it usually because they're a bad leader? And then if they are, like, how would you fix that?
Yeah. It's all the above. Everything from they don't have a proven business and business model, and as a result, anything that they try to do isn't going to work amazing. It's really reliant on their talent. So that's one of the most important things, is just go back and make sure that we have a super clear and strategic and intentional business model that's validated. But a lot of times they've built their business and their team to like come through them, and they don't consciously do this, but like they train their team of like, hey, I'm going to prove everything, or I'm the one that's best at this, or that they know if they try to, or their team tries to do something without them, they're just going to fix it or do it anyway. So they ultimately are training their team that they're going to do it anyways. A lot of times they don't have the right people in place as well. They have like B players that they think are really solid, or they're A potential, but they're not being set up for success, and as a result, they're not driving A-level results. But it's just all across the board. But it really is, at the end of the day, it's a leadership question. My favorite Michael Hyatt question, favorite leadership question is from Michael Hyatt. He says, if anything comes up that's like a challenge or issue in your business, you have to say, what about my leadership led to this result? Right? What about my leadership led to this result? Did I hire the wrong person? Did I not get them set up for success? Do I have too much going on in the business? Am I not giving them the proper systems? Do we not have, a validated model? Isn't it people are not clear on the vision? Am I not, removing the bottleneck? What is it? At the end of the day, it falls back on us as the leader, the good and the bad, and especially the bad.
Yeah, I think, at least from what I see, is like a lot of entrepreneurs who go 0 to like 100K, very good at doing the work.
Yep.
Like very good at sales, messaging, just working a lot of hours. And then if they struggle to pass 100K, they're just horrible at like building a team.
Yep.
Because at that point, working more doesn't help you.
Yep, exactly.
And so they just start hiring people, and maybe they don't, make sure they're a culture fit, or they don't have the right SOPs and stuff like that. And so I learned that the hard way, and I think a lot of people, they struggle with that because how you build your team, your business at some point past 100K a month, I'd say minimum, maximum maybe, is like dependent on your team.
Yeah.
100%.
That's why there's these different valleys of death that we call it, in entrepreneurship. It's like you can drive results. Usually we see it about 50K per month. Yeah. That's where you've got to learn some form of leverage, and leverage is with systems and people, right? And especially that people standpoint is, can you start getting results through other people? But then there's another tranche after that, somewhere between 150 and 250K per month, that it's like, now can you start to shift to have other leaders get other results through other people, right? And those leaders have to have some autonomy, make some big decisions, drive enterprise value in some way, shape, or form. And that's really hard to do. So a lot of people get stuck in those two valleys.
Do you have a framework for hiring, or are there certain things you look for? So, if someone was to ask you, hey, how should I hire? What things should I do? Do you kind of have specific things? Like, these are kind of what makes you successful at it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we call it the unicorn hiring system because we want to hire unicorns left and right? And so the first thing that I would say that's different about our system is, like, we really, really, really emphasize the upfront positioning and vision. And if you, like, A players have other options, and they're usually in another role, right? What they want to do is they want to be a part of something bigger, and you need a vision so big that everybody on your team's everybody on your team, their vision can fit with inside, And it really starts with a compelling vision and mission, where you're headed. If we say, hey, we're going to the moon and we're looking for the best rock stars that can help us get there, yada yada, like, an A player's like, hey, you got my attention. And then you get into the positioning of the role. And it's like, this is exactly who it's for. This is not who it's for. The most important sales and marketing you can do is for your people. But most people put just a boring job ad out there. They put it on Indeed or whatever, and just like hope like this unicorn comes in, is like, yes, this is my dream role. But, you got to make it sexy. You got to make it compelling. You got to sell. You got to go out there. It's the most important sales and marketing that you can do. So those couple things, start with a compelling vision and mission, position it the right way, and then put the effort in as if it is your most important sales and marketing. I'd say those are 3 keys.
Yeah, Indeed, not very good for hiring. I feel like it's kind of, I don't know how many job sites you've done, but I've done pretty much all of them, and I'd say LinkedIn usually gives me the better quality. Yeah. Indeed's usually some of the worst. I don't know if that's because they're just scraping the barrel, but it feels like they're on their last dollar, so to speak. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think even before LinkedIn, and there's a lot that you can do with LinkedIn ads, but also before those, I would say, like, anybody that's like in your audience right now, whether it's your network, whether it's your audience, like, a lot of times that's a really good pool to tap into, or referrals of A players. Like, A players know A players, right? Like, if you just do that, the audience that I just mentioned, that's going to cover the 80-20. And then from there, you can do some direct outreach. Like, can go and poach somebody from a particular role, which is a good strategy as well for particular types of roles. Yeah, any of the colder strategies is just like, especially Indeed and whatnot, like that's kind of bottom of the barrel, but that's where a lot of people focus.
Yeah. So you built your brand on, scaling and freedom. What does freedom mean to you?
Freedom means control, ultimately, which is so funny because it sounds the opposite, but it's actually control to do what you want to do when you want to do it. But it's also to have, like, the peace of mind. It's basically to be unleashed, right? And everybody has their own, like, vision and goals. And a lot of times we see stuff on Instagram or whatever, and we're like, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. Or we start to compare ourselves to other people. But at the end of the day, what is success to you? What is that freedom that, if none of that mattered, if nobody else's opinion mattered, what would that be for you? Let's go and create that, right? And having that control and having that optionality. And so many people ultimately become a victim and owned by their business when they start with the number one goal, even beyond wealth. The goal of wealth is actually freedom. Right. At the end of the day, like, everything folds up into that, to be unleashed, to live your life fully expressed. And that's what we want to help people do.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of toys when I was living in Miami, and there was a day where I sat there and I'm like, okay, so I made all this money to have freedom, and now I feel like I'm giving my freedom away to these toys.
Yep.
And then it's kind of like you said, you're starting to work, and you're working so you can pay the bills for these toys that you thought were going to be fun, but then you don't really care that much. And so I think people do have to be careful with that, because I see it a lot. Obviously, in big cities, you see that all the time. And if you can afford it and you want it, great. But for me, I started to realize, like, I don't like most of these things, and they get old after 6 months. And then I'm literally working to make sure like I can continue to pay for these things. And like that I just don't think is a good trade-off.
Yep.
So, in business, I would say like there's growth mode and, personal time, and there's like trade-offs, so if you work more, you can obviously usually push the business more, but at the same time, like you need to have personal time. So, for you seem like you try to be pretty well balanced. Like, how do you go about that? Like running a high growth company, but also taking kind of personal time and having time for yourself?
Yeah, great question. So the whole goal is to build the business that can run, grow, and thrive without you. Because it's one thing to have a business. It's one thing to make it successful. It's another thing to have that successful business be able to run without you. And it's a completely other thing to have that business be able to run, grow, and thrive without you. But basically what we say is there's two really good frames to think about how to build a successful business. One is act as if you're going to sell it in 6 months. If you're going to sell your business in 6 months for maximum valuation, you're growing the revenue fast, you're increasing profitability and cash flow, you're making sure that there are systems in place, you're making sure that the business is not dependent on you, all these things that are very healthy to build a great business. But the other best frame is build your business to run, grow, and thrive without you for at least 2 weeks. So if you go on a 2-week vacation, fully detached, turn your phone off, no internet, no connection to your team, what would happen to your business? With most businesses, it would pretty much stop. Or at least it'd be massively chaotic and just like what a headache, and clients would be pissed, like money would start slowing down, team would have all these questions. That's not a healthy business. That's a self-employed job and a trap that you create. So we've got to build the business to start to run without you and then be able to grow and thrive without you. So, we've got a process, actually have a book called The 2-Week Vacation Test that kind of works through how to do that, but ultimately that's the goal. And the way that you do it is really breaking it down by each step. So with every business, there's basically 3 core functions. You got marketing, sales, and fulfillment. Right? Marketing's goal is to generate qualified leads. Sales goal is to turn those qualified leads into clients. Fulfillment's goal is to turn those clients into raving fans that stay with you a long time, buy more, yada, yada, right? And then we just create this whole engine that continues to feed itself. But the goal is to have each one of those departments be able to run, grow, and thrive without you. So if you have the proper people, systems, and strategy in place for each one of those, then you can be free from the day-to-day. But the cool thing is like, if you're anything like me, it's like, you don't want to actually work a 4-hour work week. I've tried that. It wasn't fulfilling. People are like, that's the dream. And it's like, that's the dream for like a minute, but then you start to get bored. I literally lasted like 6 weeks. And I was like, I want something that I'm excited by. I want to work hard, but like in control, not from any place of needing to or any reactivity, right? So I think that's the dream, is to be able to be free from the day-to-day, have everything be able to run and thrive without you so that you can have complete freedom, and then go and focus on your zone of genius and things that you enjoy with a mission that you're super excited by. I think that's the dream.
The clients you work with, like, what's the average client?
Average is $1 million.
And then what type of businesses do they usually have?
Usually online services. So they're either a coach, a consultant, a agency owner, or a professional service. Now we just acquired operations.com, and we're going to be focusing on 8-figure businesses there. Yeah.
So because they're higher level businesses, how do you go about finding those clients? Because sometimes, if you're running ads, obviously you're going to get more beginners than experienced. So like, how do you go about acquiring them?
Yeah, we're going to do Hormozi style to build a brand around operations.com, be the number one leader in the space. And we've already got a pretty big opportunity. It's like, I haven't even told anybody that you're literally the first person that I've told that to, at least on a podcast. And we've already got like, some clients that we're working with hands-on to kind of test and validate so that we can go to market with an offer here by end of month.
How are you getting clients currently? So obviously I understand how that's going to work. Are you getting them through ads, organic referrals? Like, are you just kind of starting it?
Yeah, on the 2X, on operations.com, we're just starting it. Like we haven't even changed the website yet.
I guess on the 2X side.
On the 2X side, a lot of it's organic. Yeah, so it's referrals and word of mouth, and then my books. Like these things just do so freaking well. It's unbelievable. Like 6 to 7 figures I wrote 4 years ago, and literally even the past couple of days, we spend a little bit. We spend like $1,000 a month on Amazon ads. That's it. Wow. We don't do any Facebook ads or anything to it.
And just to sell the book.
Just to sell the book. And on the back, but people go from the book to a free toolkit that has a bunch of tools and resources to booking a call and coming into our coaching program. But just in the last couple of days, we generated, over 100K just from that. And like, I'm not doing anything. Like all that's like done, that doesn't happen every 2 or 3 days like it has the last couple of days, but like that's very common in, a regular period.
Did you write the book with that intention as like kind of a lead generator?
Oh yeah.
Even 6-7 years ago, you wrote it that way.
Yeah. So so I wrote 4 books, and my first one again was that crappy book that I was mentioning that just like took off. And I realized the power of a book, but then that led to that book marketing agency. That's where I really saw, hey, this book is such an incredible tool to accelerate your positioning, accelerate your authority, accelerate the trust, right? And use it as an entry point to lead to something greater. So we worked with coaches and consultants to help them leverage their book. So I learned kind of how to do that. And with that, getting access to so many different books and that process, it was pretty easy to write the last 3 books. So the first one was a little bit pain in the butt, and like I didn't know what I was doing. But after that, I learned what to do. So from 6 to 7 figures took me like total start to finish, including editing and everything, about 6 weeks time. And like I said, it's generating pretty good revenue just from that alone. Yeah.
So, a couple questions on there. First, what are the differences in your books? Like maybe you could give a little synopsis like of each book, and then for someone who's listening, they're like, "Hey, I want to write a book." I don't know how easy that'd be for you to explain, but maybe kind of the process of going through actually writing a book. Like, what are the steps you have to take?
Oh yeah. I highly recommend anybody that's a thought leader, even other businesses that are thought leaders. Like, a book is such a powerful tool, and with AI now, it's even easier than ever. But the cool thing is, like, I expected it to start to drop off. And it may over time, like SEO is starting to drop off, right? But books are still so freaking powerful in all the different ways that I mentioned. Like we even have so many people like book calls with us and whatnot. They're like, I didn't finish the book yet, but like I read like 2 chapters, and we just hear it over and over again. People, again, it's a credible thing. People see that you have a process. They see they don't have certain things in there. They're like, all right, I need this. They don't even have to read the whole book, and they're like, I'm in. What do I need to do? And it makes it easy for our sales team. So I highly recommend a book for anybody. So a couple different books. So my first one was called Make Money, Live Wealthy, and it was about basically my investing experience and whatnot. And I was teaching to young professionals in the corporate world, basically speaking to myself 3-4 years ago, right? Yeah. And talking about money and the mindset and different things. And again, not a very good book at all, but I get a lot of good feedback on it, and it sold a lot of copies just to people in that mindset. Second book was called From 6 to 7 Figures, the first version of this. And then I updated that into a much better version. So I saw Tim Ferriss do that with the 4-Hour Work Week. So he had the first version, and then he came up with an updated, expanded version. And that's where he like really accelerated to the next level. So I always knew I was going to do a second version of it that was better, because I wanted to get the first version out there just as fast as possible. I could not make it perfect. And I sold the next one probably 14 months later. So it wasn't very long. But we call it the remix theory. Turn one hit record into 2. It's from a 50 Cent song. But basically taking a book that's like pretty solid and validated, and it's like making it really good. And that was 4 years ago. And then the Tweak Vacation test is how to build your business to run and thrive without you. Whereas From 6 to 7 Figures is very clear. It's like, take your 6-figure business, let's make it a 7-figure business, and just kind of guides you through step by step a process on that.
Right. So when you were going through building these books out, did you do it all on your own? Did you
all my
pay a
own.
Company? Yeah. So walk people through that a little bit. I think it's interesting.
So the reason why it only took me 6 weeks is I spent so much time in the outline at the beginning, right? Like, don't dive in and start writing right away. And I'm an engineer, so I was numbers driven. Like, give me numbers, give me a problem to solve. Writing, the reason why I couldn't go to Princeton to play football in Dartmouth is because my writing score was not high enough. I'm serious. My test, I couldn't get my test results high enough, and but everything else was solid. And so funny that I started writing a book, but I spent so much time on the outline. So if you just really go through the big idea and the big hook, and then the outline in detail, just really streamline that. And if you have just a really good detailed outline, then all you're doing is filling in the pieces of what that individual piece is. And if you're a thought matter or subject matter expert, you can fill that in with so much time. So if you have a simple framework for each one of the small pieces of all right, I'm going to start with a big hook in a story, and then what that means, and then the value points or whatever it is, right? There's different ways that you can have a framework within each one of the individual pieces. But if you have a really good, clear map and spend your time really working through that so that it's clear, that it flows in whatever way, then you can create something pretty good. But what I did is I like to do big text, visuals, frameworks, actions, different things to make it super tangible, because I always thought those were pretty powerful books for people. And that's a lot of the feedback that I get is like, it's so clear, it's so tangible, it's so simple for people. We say it's got to be like slap over the head. Like everything's got to slap them over the head with clarity. Like just make it so easy that they can't not take the big ideas away from it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So those are a couple things, but really I just, again, emphasize the outline.
And then did you, so I'm assuming when the book was done, do you hire an editor? Do you hire someone to like publish it for you? And like, I guess they make up the book and so forth?
Yeah, great question. Okay. So I have the first initial draft, get feedback from a couple people that are in my audience, not, my mom, and just kind of get their general
your mom.
Their feedback. Yeah. And then two editors. So one editor is like giving you feedback on the structure and a little bit more strategic advice. And then the last one is a proofreader, and you want the proofreader to go through it multiple times. But basically, like, I would write a book to, let's say, about 40,000 words, and then the goal would be to cut it back, right? So with anything that you do, you want to build it, and then you want to simplify the crap out of it to the essential, right? So build it to, in this case, if it's a nonfiction book, these are general numbers, but like 40,000 to 45,000 words, let's cut it back to about 20,000 words and make it just the best stuff within that, tighten it in, make sure that there's not a ton of duplication, yada, yada. And the editing is the hardest part. So if you spend a lot of time on the outline, then the initial ugly draft is not too hard, but the editing and just like cutting things out and refining it and cutting it out, but having a content or developmental editor and then having a proofreader, those are the two editors that help kind of bring it up. And you can hire all these people like just kind of one-off. Total costs of doing a self-published book can be less than $1,000.
Wow.
Which is pretty crazy. And I would spend, at least $1,000 to $2,000 on that developmental editor. That's the key piece. But hiring somebody for the cover and the formatting interior of the book, all that's, a couple $100 at the most.
Wow. And then you just put it on Amazon basically.
Just put it on Amazon. It's live literally the next day or very soon. Wow. Very soon. Yeah.
That's kind of great. Because I made a book, but to be honest, like I hired a company to do it. So I wasn't super aware of like the processes. And probably it was like as simple as you're saying, but I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting to like see how like easy it is for you to make a book.
Yeah.
Your book that's on like the 2-week vacation test, that's on operations mostly, right?
It's a lot. Well, it's on time freedom. So the solution for time freedom is strategy, systems, and people. So it's really about those three things to get time freedom. But it just works through 7 steps to like further detach yourself from the day to day, because like we just get consumed by it, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens like as we're building and scaling. Like we have to do a lot of things that then we don't learn how to undo those things and undo that attachment, and mostly mental attachment. But it just walks through some different structural things to do, systems things to do, teams things to do to further detach so that you can be focusing on more high impact and zone of genius type
things.
Things.
Yeah, I didn't know if the whole book was on operations only. I was like, man, that's actually like, I'm trying to think how I could make a whole book on that. That's pretty good.
Oh, I could make a whole book on operations.
You seem like you could, and like you're an engineer, so like I know how your brain works and stuff. But off the top of my head, I'm like, man, that would take me a while. Probably think of the table of contents. Yeah. So you talked a little bit about your next play. I guess I'm kind of curious, like how are you going to just try to grow that same thing, operations.com, just it is literally your lead gen model, just you make a book and that's it, and you don't really run ads? Is it like any organic?
Yeah, we've run a little bit of ads, but like that's a very small part of what we do. It's mostly all organic.
Especially for higher level leads, it's just like it's not as effective, or do you have to be willing to spend a lot of money?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you got to spend way more money.
Yeah, and we're focused on profits, profits and cash flow, and at the end of the day, it's like the channels that we focus on are those. And of course, you're missing some scalability elements, of course, but as of right now, the plan is to focus organic. Yeah, definitely organic. And the main goal of operations.com and everything that we're doing is to build a portfolio. So we're looking to get into companies and invest and partner with them from an equity standpoint. So we don't need thousands of companies, like again, through word of mouth in our network and just the branding and positioning that we're going to do, especially as we amplify it with a couple more books coming up. And then we will have a podcast and other things that help nurture just to be that thought leader. But then it's just like our pick of the litter of businesses that we want to
My experience with, bringing on portfolio companies, like just one good company beats 5 average ones. And usually if they have a unique offer and they're a good CEO, slam dunk. Like if they have a good offer, bad CEO, not good. If it's a like good CEO but not unique offer, not good, because their returns usually, depending on what you guys want to do to scale them, but like I'm just specifically speaking ads, the returns just aren't there. And then I liked what you said about profit, because there was a point, I was doing $2 million a month, take home probably 600. But I have a business now that does $1 million a month, and the take home is 700.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if you can get a business that's more profitable, it's like pretty much that's better because you're just doing double the work, but you're not actually making more.
Yep.
And so there's definitely trade-offs with that. So I like that you're, very profit focused, because in the beginning you couldn't really convince me of that. I was like, yeah, but if I make more money.
Yeah.
But now, like, depending on how good the business runs, like, you just don't have to make as much to make as much profit, and that's a lot easier to run because it's a lot less stress, less employees, less clients, like that type of stuff.
100%.
So here's kind of a thought question for you. Like, how do you decide whether to keep building a business versus like scaling into something new?
Yeah. I think so my journey has been, everything was just scale a business to a result to figure out what I wanted to do. And I think the ultimate goal is to be on this path where you, quote unquote, know what you want to do, or you know what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
Like you oftentimes hear 40, 50, 60-year-old people like joke, like, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up, And I think it's pretty cool if you can get there and you can say like, hey, this is what I want to do. And like, that's where I'm at now. But it took me one career and 4 other businesses to figure out, hey, this is what I want to do, right? And I want to focus on helping entrepreneurs and building a massive portfolio of companies, yada, yada. So with that, my vision has changed very little in the last 7 years versus at the beginning, my vision changed all the time because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I wanted to start these new businesses and whatnot. So I think once you get on that path, but the cool thing is like that may change, and like the season of your life may change. You may start a family and not want to work very much at all, right? And all of that is cool, but being able to chase that, I think that's a powerful position to be in. But what we say as far as answering the question of when to start something new, whether that's a new channel, a new product, a new business, is only do that once it's a machine. And what that means is that it's consistent, predictable, it's scalable, and not reliant on you. So if you got something running and humming, then you can say, do you want to scale that piece up exponentially? Do you want to step back and just like do nothing? Or do you want to go and bring on a new piece, right? And a lot of people will have something that's like good, but it's not consistent, predictable, scalable, and not reliant on them. And as a result, they go and focus on this other project. And what's this one do? Boom, straight down. Right, and that was their moneymaker. That was making them, all their cash flow and lifestyle expenses and everything. And then they have to go back and focus on this and stop focusing on this project that they actually want to focus. So they just play this teeter-totter game, whether it's within a business, focusing on fulfillment and then growth and fulfillment and growth, or if it's different businesses or projects. So that's why we got to get things to machine status, and that creates optionality. And then from there, you can decide what to do.
So, I mean, you've been in the game a while, and you come off very intelligent to me. I mean, you're an engineer, so I just like, I was around a bunch of engineers, obviously, and it's just some of the smartest people I know. What would you say to your younger self, like let's say 25-year-old self, knowing kind of what you know now, maybe some advice you'd give him?
Yeah, I would say have some damn fun in the process. It's a grind, and it's just like, it's a marathon, and there's so many things that happen, good and bad, in the journey. But if you find where you can play in the process of going through all the hard things of entrepreneurship and building and whatnot, because you're constant, like if you're trying to grow, you're going to constantly be hitting that edge of your comfort zone, right? But if you can play in that allows you to just make more aligned decisions, be around more of the right people, make more decisions for what you actually want instead of egoic things, right? And enjoy the journey. And at the end of the day, that's what you realize is the point anyways, is the freaking journey, So I would say play and enjoy the ride.
Something I like to ask during these is, what's a question I should have asked you that maybe I haven't asked you yet that would be helpful for the listeners? Maybe there's something I just haven't thought of, or a place you want to kind of take the conversation. And if you can't think of something, that's okay. Sometimes you can't, but if there's something that, I should have asked you that I haven't,
I think one thing that we haven't talked about specifically is really around the mindset.
Yeah.
And there's just a massive difference in the mindset. Like that's the first thing that separates any entrepreneur, right? I'll give you a quick example. This talking with one of our clients a couple of days ago, so this is fresh in my mind, but he's an awesome entrepreneur, and he's been growing really fast. Started with us at multiple 6 figures. He's now at multiple 7 figures. He's on his path to 8 figures, and he wants a $20 million exit in the next couple of years, and he's going to get it. And the reason why is because he has the right mindset. And I was talking with him. He's going through, his past couple of months were a little bit of a challenge for him versus this crazy growth that he's been on.
Yeah.
And he was explaining it to me, and I was, just asking him some questions. And his response to why he was having the challenges, he started listing off, okay, there's this thing that we could have done. There's this thing that I did that, was probably not the right move. There's this other thing that, we just haven't gotten to yet that's going to be a big needle mover that I need to move that up in priority. There's this thing. All of the things that he mentioned were in his control and his responsibility. And then on down the list was, and our market's changing and ad expenses are changing and everything's more expensive now and our economy is down a little bit. Like all these other excuses that other people start with and blame with, he has way down on his list. He's like, there's all these things in my control, and this is what I can start with. So that's like one example of a mindset of a winner. And if you continually understand what the mindset needs to be, which is actually the biggest thing in the From 6 to 7 Figures book, is looking at the 6-figure hustler mindset versus 7-figure CEO mindset. It's like if you can really, really continually work on the mindset and your leadership, that leads into everything else. That makes everything else so much easier because it's all quite easy from there. But the bad thing is, it's like the mindset's hard. It's hard to really continue to have the awareness and work on yourself and address your insecurities and your fears and your childhood trauma and like all the things that are deeper for this podcast. But really, the mindset is not talked about enough, I think.
Where do you think most people get that mindset from? Because I would say most, not even entrepreneurs, just people in general, they usually blame other people. They don't take responsibility. They point fingers. So for me, like I look back at my childhood and I look at sports, like those two things, because like in sports, it was like, sometimes I feel it gets me in trouble in relationships because I'm just like, it doesn't matter how you feel, like just do it.
Yeah.
Crushes in business.
Yeah, exactly.
Then relationships, maybe not so much, but I kind of feel like that stuff helped me where a lot of people, maybe they don't, I don't know, it comes off to me like they haven't done anything harder. They haven't been in any difficult situation. So I'm just curious, like on your take, like you were a former athlete, engineer, like where do you think the mindset comes from for some of these people? Because some people I feel have it and some people they do not. And I'm not saying you can't get it, but it's hard to overcome. I would say, like, if someone's 20-something years old and they don't have that mindset, I'm like, oh, dude, it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I love hiring athletes. I love hiring people that are, in some type of military form because they love structure. They know hard work. They're going to do what they say they're going to do. And I love people in any type of leadership role. And you don't have to be an athlete to be a leader, right? And but if somebody hasn't gone through hard things, you're exactly right. But to answer your questions, like, just society as a whole, whether it's our school system, the education, or the media that's out there, especially social media, like all of this is like formed to create a certain society, right? And it's not like designed to build an amazing entrepreneur. So we have to unlearn a lot of those things. We have to like break free from that. And then you compound people's family lives. Like we're not raised, 99% of us, I definitely was not raised to be an entrepreneur and raised to be, fully loved in certain ways, right? Or raised to be just super growth oriented and anything is possible and like, leadership and everything. It's like we're just not raised that way. So between our family life, our society, we have to break free from some of that and heal some of that in some way, shape, or form to, again, just have awareness and fix it head on. But at the end of the day, like you got to choose, is there a bigger future that you see? And if so, freaking go after it. And if not, that's okay. And that's most people, right? But that's not for me.
Yeah. I think for most people, like do it or not, like attitude is good. Cause I mean, there's always a lot of emotions that come up when you're trying to do something new. Like you're scared, you're anxious, whatever. I was like, yeah, but like, just do it, And so I don't know if that doesn't resonate with some people. But for me, I just try to ignore my feelings when it comes to business. And I'm like, okay, here's what we need to do to move the needle. So let's just do it.
Yeah.
And then I notice as I do things, if it doesn't kill me, I'll be fine.
Yep.
So yeah, I want to get your take on that. Okay, so I want to move to a little bit of what I call lightning round. Like you can take your time on it, but just some kind of quick fire questions. What's one book or mentor that changed your trajectory?
The One Thing. I love The One Thing. It's about simplicity and focus. And at any given time, there's always only one thing in front of you. So cutting out the waste, focus on one thing.
What's the biggest business mistake you're glad you made?
Oh, man. Oh, I'm not glad of some of them, man. They're just expensive. The biggest business mistake that I'm glad I made. I don't know. 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 I I mean, I'm just going to answer with one of them that was pretty expensive. I had somebody that I really admired on my team. He was a rock star in one role, put him in a different role, and he failed pretty miserably. And the real failure was on me because I didn't fix it fast enough. I let him go as head of marketing, which is the most important role in the company at that time. And I let him go for 18 months when I should have given him like a max of about 6 months with the performance that he had. And I didn't fix it fast enough. And that ultimately led to me losing a ton of money, me having the most stressful 18 months of my career, me having to, lead to have to fire half the team, and a lot of bad things because I wasn't the leader that stepped in and said, you know what, I know this is off. I know I really respect this guy, but I got to make the change. So that was an expensive lesson, but I learned that early enough in my career that I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, it's always tough when kind of emotions are like mixed in with kind of maybe what's best for the business, know, and like they've put in time, they've put in work, they've been loyal. Like I can 100% understand where that comes from. Yep. All right, interesting question for you. Would you rather double your revenue or double your free time?
Well, my free time's pretty good. So right now I'd actually say double your revenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I was not expecting that. What's the most underrated skill for entrepreneurs today?
Underrated?
Yeah, underrated.
Is leaning into aggressive action. Yeah. Because if you can lean into aggressive action with like awareness and with some, hey, this worked and that didn't, you just continually get better. But so many entrepreneurs are thinking or just like dabbling on these random things. No, just aggressive action towards a big mission. Through different doors, you see that there's a lot more doors open. So just keep going down that.
What's not one non-negotiable you refuse to compromise as you scale?
My freedom. Yeah, my freedom. I travel 3 times a week or 3 times a month. I'm able to do a lot of things that I want, that even though I've got some really big numbers ahead of me, I always have my freedom at the core.
So if someone was to listen to this episode and you want them to walk away with one idea, what would you want that to be?
I would say decide right now that you're going to step into the next level identity for yourself. And we call that, again, 6-figure hustler to 7-figure CEO. Just like step into who that person gets to be, right? And half of it you already are now. Half of it is aspirational and who you need to be. So really defining that person, understanding that person, starting to work to become that person, that'll lead to everything else. But also, most importantly, it'll lead to fulfillment in alignment in the journey, which is, even more important.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm excited to see where you go. I like your mindset. I can resonate with a lot of it. You're a former engineer, former athlete. So like even the way you talk about things and like how you think, it resonates with me so much. If people want to know more about you or they want to work with you and your company, maybe pick up some of your books, like what's the best place for them to go? Yeah,
the best place to go is 2x.co, a very short domain, 2x.co. You can see a bunch of free resources there. We've got the books there, and then operations.com will be live by the time this is live. We'll be getting clear on what that looks like, but you'll see a lot of operational and time freedom and growth content from us.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see how that goes, man. I think the portfolio play is definitely the play. Like I'm enjoying that, and there's a lot more leverage there. So excited to see what you do with it.
Yeah, thanks, man. You too. Appreciate you.
All right, man.
That was great.
Yeah, dude. Appreciate you.